Keep it moving, and I am gonna blow up your spot one of these days.
Nicki Minaj has launched a sustained and unrelenting social media offensive against JayZ, accusing him of withholding as much as $200 million from the sale of Tidal and leveraging Roc Nation's infrastructure to systematically undermine her career. As of this recording, JayZ has not responded to a single allegation. Nonetheless, Minaj has only intensified her campaign, presenting receipts, detailed accusations, and an unmistakable refusal to back down. Here is what we know: the Tidal sale, the $200 million claim, and the Super Bowl controversy. Let us begin with the financial dispute, because at its core, money is the catalyst that ignited this entire confrontation between Minaj and JayZ. And to be clear, we are not discussing a modest contractual disagreement or a minor label quarrel. We are talking about a dispute involving hundreds of millions of dollars. To understand Minaj's position, one must revisit 2015. That was the year JayZ launched Tidal, the music streaming platform he positioned as an artist-owned alternative to Spotify and Apple Music. The premise was ambitious and, at the time, genuinely revolutionary, a platform where creators would have meaningful ownership of the ecosystem they helped build. To lend the venture credibility and cultural weight, JayZ assembled a coalition of the most prominent names in the music industry: Beyoncé, Rihanna, J. Cole, Kanye West, Madonna, and, critically, Nicki Minaj. Each participating artist was granted a 3% equity stake in the company. In return, they were expected to contribute exclusive content, promote the platform aggressively to their respective fan bases, and commit wholeheartedly to the vision. By all accounts, Minaj fulfilled her end of the agreement with considerable enthusiasm. She was one of the platform's most visible and active advocates, arguably second only to Beyoncé in terms of promotional effort. She championed Tidal across her social media channels, released exclusive content through the platform, and appeared at the now iconic launch event alongside Usher, Rihanna, Madonna, and the broader coalition. The atmosphere at that event was palpable. These artists genuinely believed they were constructing something that would fundamentally reshape the music industry's power dynamics. However, here is where the narrative takes a critical turn. In 2021, JayZ sold the majority stake in Tidal to Square, Jack Dorsey's financial technology company now operating under the name Block, for approximately $302 million in a combination of cash and stock. By any measure, that represents a substantial transaction and a remarkable financial outcome. A straightforward calculation of Minaj's 3% equity stake would place her share at approximately $9 million at a minimum. That is elementary arithmetic. However, according to Nicki Minaj, she received nothing, not a single dollar. She has stated publicly that JayZ's representatives offered her $1 million, which she characterized as a transparent attempt to secure her silence and ensure her compliance. She described the offer as profoundly disrespectful, calling it an insult and a brazen act of financial exploitation. On X, she stated her position unequivocally: "We've calculated about 100 to 200 million so far. JayZ, call me to settle this karmic debt. It's only collecting more interest. You're still in my top 5 though." The Breakfast Club panel weighed in on the matter and offered a notably candid assessment. They articulated a question that many observers within the culture were contemplating but hesitant to voice publicly. If someone genuinely owes you $200 million, why are you addressing it on social media rather than through the legal system?
No idea about their business, but if someone owed me $200 million, then I would be in court, not on X. And I guarantee you, if she ever took that to court, that would be a huge story.
And that is an entirely legitimate question. As of this moment, no lawsuit has been filed. There are no legal filings, no scheduled court proceedings, only public statements on social media. However, and this distinction is important, those statements were remarkably precise and methodical. Minaj did not issue vague or unfocused accusations. She constructed what amounted to a comprehensive public indictment of JayZ's business operations, presented systematically and with deliberate specificity. She went on to accuse JayZ of corrupting or compromising virtually every major cultural institution within his sphere of influence: hip-hop, professional football, professional basketball, touring, Instagram, and Twitter. She posted, "Dear JayZ, you ruined hip-hop, you ruined football, you ruined basketball, you ruined touring, you ruined Instagram, you ruined Twitter. The jig is up." All of this is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. The Breakfast Club panel found considerable humor in the statement. The entire room was thoroughly entertained.
Hashtag JayZ, you ruined hip-hop, you ruined football, you ruined basketball, you ruined touring, you ruined Instagram, you ruined Twitter. The jig is up. All of this is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. And she also is saying, she's mentioning Desiree, who is one of JayZ's.
You might as well say JayZ's the head of Doge. JayZ invaded Gaza. You might as well just come on, add some more to that, nigga.
But beneath the humor and the viral moments, the Tidal financial dispute carries genuinely serious implications. If Nicki Minaj legitimately held a 3% equity stake in a company that sold for $302 million, and she was offered a $1 million settlement when her contractual share should have been closer to $9 million at minimum, and she is now asserting that the actual figure is substantially higher when one accounts for her promotional contributions and the brand equity she brought to the platform, then this constitutes a serious matter. That is not a miscommunication between professional associates. That is a calculated undervaluation at the corporate level, and in any business context, that represents a significant breach of trust and obligation. Minaj has also stated that once she secures the funds she believes she is owed, she intends to direct them toward her charitable initiative dedicated to covering tuition costs and student loan debt for her supporters. In her framing, JayZ is not merely withholding money from her personally, he is, by extension, depriving students of educational opportunities they desperately need. That reframing elevated the dispute from a private business disagreement to a public cause with broader social implications. And the Tidal situation was not the only grievance fueling Minaj's campaign. The Super Bowl controversy added another significant dimension. In September 2024, the NFL announced that Kendrick Lamar would headline the Super Bowl LIX halftime show in New Orleans. For anyone with even a passing awareness of hip-hop history and culture, that announcement was a deeply conspicuous omission of one particular individual, Lil Wayne. Wayne is synonymous with New Orleans. He was born and raised there. He is widely regarded as the city's most iconic musical figure and is routinely included in conversations about the 5 greatest rappers of all time. The Super Bowl was being staged in his city on his home ground. The overwhelming expectation across the industry and the fan community was that Wayne would receive the headlining slot. It seemed like an inevitable conclusion. However, Roc Nation co-produces the Apple Music NFL halftime show. JayZ's involvement in the decision-making process is well documented and widely understood. When Kendrick Lamar's name was announced in place of Lil Wayne's, the reaction was swift and pointed. Minaj responded with considerable force. She posted a lengthy statement directed squarely at JayZ on X, accusing him of denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game for no other reason but your ego. Your hatred for Birdman, Drake, and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, the greatest of all time. She also invoked Eminem, noting that Eminem had insisted on having 50 Cent join him during his own halftime performance. That comparison carried significant rhetorical weight. Minaj was effectively arguing that a white artist demonstrated greater loyalty and greater resolve in supporting his longtime collaborator than JayZ demonstrated towards someone from his own community and cultural lineage. Regardless of where one stands on Minaj's broader claims, that particular point resonated widely. Wayne's exclusion from a Super Bowl halftime show staged in his own city generated substantial criticism that extended far beyond Minaj's fan base. Industry veterans, cultural commentators, casual observers, and figures across the broader hip-hop community voiced their displeasure, and Minaj positioned the entire episode as evidence of a larger, more troubling pattern. She alleged that JayZ was deliberately leveraging his Roc Nation authority and industry influence to marginalize anyone connected to her professional circle: Wayne, Drake, Birdman, and herself. The Super Bowl decision was simply the most visible and public manifestation of that alleged pattern, and it established the foundation for everything that followed. Now, here is the critical context that many observers overlook when they encounter Minaj's public confrontation with JayZ. This is not an arbitrary social media dispute between two parties with no prior relationship. These two individuals share a history that spans over 15 years, a history that is layered, complex, and deeply intertwined. Understanding that history is precisely what makes the current fallout so much more significant and so much more personal. In 2010, Kanye West released Monster, featuring a lineup that included JayZ, Rick Ross, Bon Iver, and a then emerging Nicki Minaj, who was still establishing her reputation through the mixtape circuit. When the track reached the public, it was not JayZ or Rick Ross who dominated the conversation, it was Minaj. Her verse on Monster is still widely regarded as one of the greatest guest verses in the entire history of hip-hop. It announced to the world in no uncertain terms that she was a generational talent who would defer to no one. JayZ recognized her ability early, well before she achieved mainstream superstardom. He reportedly attempted to sign her to Roc Nation. He identified the potential, the star power, and the commercial viability. He wanted her on his roster. But Minaj chose loyalty. She signed with Lil Wayne's Young Money Entertainment instead, remaining with the people who had discovered her, invested in her development, and given her an opportunity when no one else would. Some industry insiders have speculated that this decision, choosing Wayne over JayZ, planted the earliest seeds of tension between the two. Seeds that took years to germinate, but eventually grew into the sprawling conflict we are witnessing today. Even after Minaj declined the Roc Nation offer, JayZ continued to extend professional courtesies. In 2010, he personally recommended her for Robin Thicke's track Shakin' It for Daddy, which she later described as one of the most meaningful endorsements of her early career. That same year, she performed alongside JayZ and Eminem at Yankee Stadium as part of the historic Home and Home concert series, becoming the first female rapper to ever perform on that iconic stage. That is a genuinely historical milestone, and JayZ played an instrumental role in making it possible.
The next guy, I'm bored.
During that era, Minaj spoke about JayZ in interviews with unmistakable reverence and genuine admiration. But when asked to name her most
Diddy's former
bodyguard, she cited him first and without hesitation.
Wanted to.
Does it help filter out like a bunch of content?
So said that JayZ, Foxy Brown, and Lil Wayne were some of your biggest influences when you were coming up. What did each of them have that you wanted to emulate?
JayZ, business savvy. Foxy Brown, immaculate delivery. Lil Wayne, trendsetter.
Business acumen, that was what Minaj admired most about JayZ. Not solely his lyrical ability, but his strategic mind, his capacity to transform a career in rap music into a diversified commercial empire. She viewed him as the definitive model for how an artist from humble beginnings could ascend to billionaire status without sacrificing authenticity or cultural credibility. She was so profoundly influenced by his trajectory that she titled her 2014 album, The Pink Print, as a direct homage to his legendary Blueprint series. That was not subtle. That was not coincidental. That was an intentional, public acknowledgement from someone who sincerely looked up to the man and aspired to follow the path he had charted. Over the ensuing years, the relationship maintained a consistent appearance of mutual respect and professional cordiality. In 2012, they were seated together at the BET Awards, separated only by Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. In 2015, they stood side by side at the Tidal launch event, presenting a unified front for artist empowerment and ownership. And as recently as 2022, JayZ and Beyoncé sent congratulatory flowers when Minaj received her MTV Video Vanguard Award. Minaj publicly thanked them for the gesture. That was the nature of the relationship. Cordial, outwardly warm, characterized by occasional generosity and professional courtesies. So what changed? What transformed admiration into animosity? What converted a protege's respect into a comprehensive, unrelenting public campaign? The fractures began to surface around 2021, coinciding precisely with the completion of the title sale and what Minaj perceived as the failure of the proceeds to reach her. That was when she first began signaling publicly that she believed she had been denied her rightful share. By September 2024, those veiled references had evolved into explicit accusations directed squarely at JayZ and the broader Roc Nation apparatus. And by July 2025, she was publishing specific dollar figures, 100 million, 200 million, naming individuals and openly challenging anyone to dispute her claims. But the dispute expanded well beyond financial grievances. Minaj began targeting Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez directly, questioning everything from her presidential pardon on narcotics-related charges to her qualifications to lead one of the most powerful management companies in the entertainment industry. Minaj accused Roc Nation of blacklisting artists who did not comply with their directives, recruiting talent from competing labels through ethically questionable methods, deploying automated accounts to suppress her engagement metrics across social media platforms, and manipulating Billboard chart data behind the scenes. She claimed they sabotaged her documentary because it addressed the abuse she endured within the industry. She alleged they deliberately delayed her projects in the hope that financial pressure would eventually force her to seek their assistance. These are not trivial accusations. These are allegations of systematic, coordinated efforts to dismantle a career. DJ Academics examined the situation on his program and underscored just how extensive and conspicuously one-sided this public conflict had become.
Nicki is launching a piggyback attack on Jay, and we all know, if you haven't, just to refresh your memory about why she doesn't like Jay, she claims that Jay, finessed her with the title situation. She also made a claim that JayZ owes Nicki Minaj $200 million. Right? Now, if you watched her tweets over the last year or so, especially after she's also attacked JayZ's company's Roc Nation CEO, Desiree Perez, she's basically accused them of really doing some heinous things or trying to do some heinous things to her. So this is a really deep public feud at this point. JayZ's never acknowledged it.
And that observation from Academics is absolutely pivotal. JayZ has never acknowledged a single word of any of it. Not one social media post, not a formal statement issued through Roc Nation's communications team, not a single reference embedded in verse, not even an ambiguous Instagram story. Complete and total silence.
Does it
Zero
help filter out like a bunch of content?
Some interpret that silence as a demonstration of composure, a deliberate refusal to dignify the allegations with a response, a strategic decision to deny them oxygen and legitimacy. That is one interpretation. But others, and Minaj is firmly within this camp, interpret that silence as something far more revealing. The reasoning proceeds as follows. If someone is publicly accusing you of withholding $200 million and you do not even issue a denial, what conclusion should observers draw? Either you possess such supreme confidence that the claims are entirely without merit that they warrant no response whatsoever, or you recognize that enough substance exists in those accusations that any engagement would only invite deeper scrutiny and potentially trigger legal discovery processes. The arc of their relationship reads like something approaching a Shakespearean tragedy within the hip-hop context. From admiration to collaboration, from collaboration to mutual benefit, from mutual benefit to absolute unrestrained conflict. And JayZ's unbroken silence throughout it all may, paradoxically, be the single most resonant element of this entire saga. If one believed that the title financial claims and the Super Bowl controversy represented the apex of the Nicki Minaj versus JayZ conflict, the events surrounding the 2026 Grammy Awards occupied an entirely different level of attention. This was no longer merely an industry dispute playing out on social media timelines. This was a full-scale cultural disruption, and Nicki Minaj was positioned directly at its epicenter.
And then the next guy,
with
I'm
her phone
bored.
in one hand, her convictions firmly held, and absolutely no reservations in the other.
It's
February
kind of,
1st,
June
26, who was
Do you
Diddy's
tell men that
former
they make
bodyguard,
hard
Grand
records?
Awards at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Every major artist in the industry was present in
Does
that
it help
building.
filter out like
Nicki
a bunch
Minaj
of content?
was not. She was not nominated, she was not performing, she was not presenting. She was entirely absent from the proceedings. And yet she was, beyond any reasonable dispute, the single most discussed, most analyzed, and most searched individual on the internet that evening. Google Trends confirmed that she was the most searched artist during the broadcast window, despite never setting foot inside the venue. The catalyst was host Trevor Noah, who directed pointed and deliberately calculated remarks at Minaj during his opening monologue, with the assembled elite of the music industry seated before him under the arena lights.
And every single person here, John Legend, Billie Eilish, Phineas, Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here.
Thumbs up happen.
She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Actually, Nicki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nicki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it. Look at it, baby.
The cameras captured Chrissy Teigen laughing openly. John Legend was visibly amused. The audience responded with unmistakable enthusiasm. The atmosphere in that room was clear. The industry establishment was collectively ridiculing Minaj for her political realignment. Minaj, observing the broadcast in real time from her location, responded with a ferocity, a velocity, and a sheer volume of social media output that the hip-hop world has genuinely never witnessed from a single individual. What followed was one of the most prolific, unfiltered, wide-ranging, and confrontational social media campaigns any public figure in the entertainment industry has ever conducted. While the Grammy broadcast was still airing live on national television, Minaj inundated her timeline with dozens upon dozens of posts targeting individuals and institutions in rapid succession with extraordinary precision. She addressed Trevor Noah directly. She leveled deeply personal accusations at Chrissy Teigen. She directed pointed commentary at Lizzo regarding her weight loss, commercial performance, and legal difficulties. She attacked the Democratic Party in its entirety, and inevitably and relentlessly, she escalated her rhetoric against JayZ to its most personal, most pointed, and most severe level to date. She also posted statements making sweeping and incendiary allegations about ritualistic practices and abuses of power within the entertainment establishment. She wrote about the sabotage of her documentary, the deliberate stalling of her projects, and warned that the consequences awaiting those she held responsible were not to be taken lightly. To be absolutely clear with the viewer, none of these specific claims have been substantiated by any credible investigation, court filing, or law enforcement inquiry. There is no verified evidence to support them. However, what these statements do represent, unequivocally, is the complete and irreversible dissolution of whatever professional relationship, mutual respect, or personal connection Nicki Minaj and JayZ once shared. This is no longer someone who is simply dissatisfied with a business arrangement. This is someone who feels she has been in conflict with an entire apparatus of institutional power and has made the conscious, deliberate decision to dismantle every bridge, every connection, and every courtesy on her way out. The Grammy episode did not materialize spontaneously. It followed months, arguably years, of Minaj's increasingly public alignment with Donald Trump and conservative political figures. That political evolution is a fundamental component of why the criticism directed at her has reached such extraordinary intensity. In December 2025, Minaj appeared at Turning Point USA's America Fest, delivering an impassioned address about her Christian faith, her unwavering admiration for President Trump, her frustration with what she characterized as industry bullying and suppression, and the importance of young people having the courage and the conviction to think independently.
Yes, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope. that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact. He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, you know, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never gonna come back from it, but you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly, having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on.
Then in January 2026, she escalated even further,
And then the next guy, I'm
appearing at
bored.
a Treasury Department summit alongside President Trump himself to launch a new children's investment program providing individual accounts
Do you
for
tell
minors.
men that they've made
She
track
held
records?
the president's hand on stage. She described herself as his most devoted supporter. She displayed
Does
a
it help
gold
filter
Trump
out like a
card.
bunch of content?
She informed the audience that her own citizenship documentation was being finalized. In a subsequent podcast interview, Minaj explained that witnessing Trump endure sustained public attacks and coordinated media campaigns reminded her profoundly of her own experience within the entertainment industry. She described the parallel as undeniable and deeply personal. She stated that the hostility she receives for supporting him actually strengthened her resolve to continue doing so. The backlash was immediate, extensive,
Something
and
that
severe.
feels familiar,
Online
but
petitions
also when
demanding
it
her
feels
deportation
new.
accumulated over 120,000 signatures within days. Members of the LGBTQ
Have you had breakfast
community,
yet?
a demographic that was foundational to Minaj's rise and constituted a substantial,
I went in
dedicated
really
segment
not
of her
knowing
audience,
what it is I
expressed
wanted to
feelings of
say.
profound
And just like the
betrayal.
way that song
Former
was worded, it
supporters
was just
accused
like,
her of abandoning the very
So where they might have
constituencies
been
that
playing
had
with
built
me,
and
probably
sustained
thinking,
her
oh,
career
cheers.
and defended
You've
her
been
through
there.
every
Lexi,
previous controversy.
you worked there at one
Colleagues
point?
within the
Just, and
industry
I've died from
reportedly
all
created
3 or 4 of
distance.
them.
Peers went silent. The Grammy
People
ended
think that
episode
it's
with its
just something that
unfiltered
fans are
conspiracy
speculating.
theories, personal attacks, and charged political rhetoric became the singular
First of
defining
all,
moment
it's
of
Adele.
Nicki Minaj's
Second of
2026
all,
public
it's because
persona.
you don't want others to
But here
shine
is
based
the
on their
essential
talent
context
sometimes.
that the rapid
We're on stage
reaction
with the
social media
president.
cycle consistently fails to capture.
Thank
Minaj's
you.
political transformation did not
The
occur overnight.
photographers are here.
It
I'm
was
so
not random. It did not emerge from a vacuum. She has felt increasingly alienated from the
And I am
mainstream
gonna
music
blow up your
establishment
spot
for
one of
years.
these days.
The title
No idea
financial
about their
dispute was
business,
one
but if
wound.
someone
The
owed
Super
me
Bowl
$200 million,
exclusion of her
then I
mentor
would be
Lil
in
Wayne
court,
was
not
another.
on X.
The
And I
prolonged
guarantee you,
and
if she
bitter
ever took that
rivalries
to
with
court,
Cardi
that would be
B
a
and
huge
Megan Thee
story.
Stallion, both of whom maintain documented connections to the Rock Nation ecosystem,
And then the next
added
guy, I'm
additional
bored.
fuel to an already escalating situation. The persistent perception that media outlets, blogs, and streaming
God, what is it
platforms
with
were
this word?
deliberately
Do you
suppressing
tell
these
men that
narratives
they've made
while
track records?
amplifying her adversaries pushed her progressively further from the industry's inner circle.
wanted to.
And when that inner
Does it
circle
help
is
filter out, like, a
overwhelmingly
bunch of content?
associated with liberal Hollywood sensibilities, the logical opposite trajectory leads toward conservative politics and the communities that welcome those who feel cast out by the establishment. That is the pipeline. Whether one approves of it or condemns it, that is the emotional and professional trajectory that brought Nicki Minaj to her current position. DJ Academics offered a perceptive observation on his program regarding the recurring pattern of artists such as Minaj
So you
and
just kind
Kanye
of
West arriving at these exact junctures.
What's really happened is that people like Nicki Minaj and also Kanye West, they seem like they were a little bit cuckoo. And I ain't gonna lie, people called them flat out crazy. They're now starting to look like they were trying to warn us of some things.
Academics also raised a question that every person following this saga should consider with genuine seriousness. If Rock Nation has historically demonstrated a willingness to pursue legal action against bloggers and commentators who make allegations they find objectionable, and if they have actively supported Megan Thee Stallion through her various legal proceedings, then why have they not filed suit against Nicki Minaj for the very specific, very public, and very potentially damaging financial and professional claims she has been making consistently for over a year?
Why Rock Nation don't sue Nicki? If you know, they're quick to kind of support Meg and sue a blogger who doesn't have anything. Why not sue Nicki? That's kind of odd. I'm not saying they should, but I'm just saying, usually when they're not suing, it's like they kind of know they don't have a case, which means maybe you have some type of point that you've made.
That question lingers with considerable weight. It does not prove that Minaj's claims are true, but it raises a legitimate and uncomfortable question about why the most powerful entertainment management company in the world is choosing to allow these accusations to stand entirely unchallenged in the public arena. At its foundation, this conflict between Nicki Minaj and JayZ transcends social media exchanges and viral moments. It is about money, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars that Minaj genuinely believes she was denied through corporate maneuvering and a deliberate undervaluation of her contributions. It is about power. Who controls the narrative? Who controls access to opportunity? Who performs on the most prestigious stages and who is systematically excluded? It is about loyalty, or its devastating absence, between two individuals who once occupied the same side of the table and now find themselves separated by an expanse of resentment, suspicion, and irreparably broken trust. And ultimately, it is about what transpires when someone who was once inside the inner circle is pushed to the outside and decides to tell the entire world without filter, without disclaimer, and without apology, precisely what she witnessed while she occupied that space. Minaj has given no indication that she intends to stop. She has stated that she will not release another album until her contractual terms are renegotiated to her satisfaction. She has promised forthcoming revelations that she believes will shake the industry to its foundations. She has warned that the consequences she envisions for those she holds responsible are not to be taken lightly. Whether one aligns with Minaj or stands with JayZ, one conclusion is abundantly clear. This saga is far from concluded. It continues to unfold in real time with each passing day and each new post, and JayZ's unbroken, unwavering, and almost unsettling silence may ultimately prove to be the most consequential and most deafening element of this entire story. That brings us to the conclusion of this video. For more content like this, please click on the cards appearing on your screen.